The problem I have with these Leaf batteries is not that they're 48 volt arrangement. It's not that they're 3 kilovolt hours of power. It's not that I have a pure sine wave inverter that's rated 48 volts with a nice little throw switch here. The problem is it's too nice, it's too awesome, and I use it if the power goes out to run my whole house heater, my radiant heat, because this really only needs a pump to work because it's gas. So there's a pump in there that pumps the water through these manifolds and hits all the radiators and warms the floors, and it'll run for 24 hours off those batteries, including the refrigerator and one computer in the house. 24 hours, I'm good to go. If I'm being honest, the best way to keep the aquarium heated is to run this furnace and keep the house warm. What I really like about this switch is it does a couple things for me like really well. It switches off when we have a power outage, which takes it right to the battery. So we have a direct connection from the battery straight to whatever we're powering. I eliminate the need for an inverter, which just sucks up extra energy, converts the DC to AC, and then we take it to the power supply, which converts it back to DC. And it's just a waste of energy if you do it that way. This way, it allows me to take the battery straight to the pump. Well, almost. It has to go through the controller too. We could eliminate the controller, but I'm kind of hesitant to do that. I'm just going to stick with keeping the controller on there. It's nice to have that. So it really does everything we need it to do for the pumps anyway. Now for the lights, that's a different question. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to run those. Maybe continue to run them off the solar panel. What I need to do is overpower the solar panels. I need to put extra solar panels up there because in the winter time, just not getting enough sun. And so I'm going to have to play around with some circuitry. I cannot find circuitry that's already made, and it's really driving me nuts because I hate to do my own. I end up with dead bug circuitry, a bunch of things sticking out and crazy soldering just because that's not my cup of tea. Anyway, that's not what this is about. This is about getting those pumps. That's the survival of the fish, are the pumps, the wave maker, and the pump that's over in that corner, getting them to run off of this. So yeah, let's see if we can't get that going. I'm confident I can do it with just this switch and a battery. Hopefully Ryobi battery can make it so easy for me. This will be an extremely crude test bed. I'm running the J-Bow pump, and I'm running it off of this manual controller, which is being powered by, it is not being powered by the normal 24 volt power supply that it comes with. It is being powered by this little switch here. This is the output. This, the input is this black cable here. Input is on the left. This is a battery backup on the right. So when this fails, this should kick in. This is a reed switch in here. And if we follow the battery backup that I have, follow this to this, to this, and I'm going to time it in a second. I've got it connected to a 1 amp hour. Is that 1 amp hour? Let's take a look. Ryobi 18 volt. Pretty sure it's a 1 amp hour battery. 24 watt hours. And this is the Ryobi charger, which I didn't have the right screws for, so I bashed it up because I thought I was going to get that clean connection there. But it turns out, if you look in there, this is just 2 wires, red and a black, and that's all this plugged into. So I just went ahead and ran it here. That's 18 volts, but it's actually not 18 volts. It is because, you know, it's supposed to charge the battery. The battery is 18 volts. You need to put higher voltage than 18 volts if you want it to charge. So we've got on there. So it actually puts 20 volts, 21 volts almost. That's what comes off of this guy. And it's 2.5 amps. So this is actually supposedly topping this off, but I don't think it is. Let's go ahead and see how long it lasts. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the plug. Actually, I haven't pulled the plug, so I don't even know if that switch works. Let's check it out. See if I can do this all in one. Yep, it kicked in. I don't know if you heard that, but it went dun, and then it kicked in. So that took almost a second for it to kick in. But I mean, it kicked in, and look, it's still going about the same speed. I have it only on 1 bar. It makes a difference how high you run this. Now, on the tank itself, I have it running on 2 bars, is all I have it running on. So ultimately, I'm going to put a big battery on here, and I'm going to see how long it lasts. And the red light comes off on this little switch because it lets you know that it's running off the battery now. When the red light is on, that means it's not running on the battery, it's running on AC. Not AC, it's running on whatever power supply you have. Let's look at the voltage now on the battery and see how fast that's dropping. 19.7. Oh, you know what? I did not hit the start button. Now we'll look at the video. I could probably add another minute to whatever that is. We'll see how long it lasts because that's supposed to be 18-volt battery. So when that drops, so we can see that the voltage on that battery was the 20 volts, and it was not being charged by that unless there was a little trickle charge coming across there that's undetectable. And we'll find that out when I plug it back in, if that voltage starts to go back up to 20. All right, so I will just listen for this to stop, and when it stops, I'll come back and start filming again. Now the reason that I like doing this way, where we're running, this is running directly off the battery. So here, this is just a direct conduit. There are no electronics running right now on this device. Before, when it was plugged into the wall, the power supply, that's when the electronics are running, and that's when it engages this reed switch, and it's constantly engaged. And when you unplug it, then it disengages, the circuit turns off, and you just get a pass-through. So right now, the circuit is not draining the battery. Things say they only run at 24, or they're supposed to run at 24 volts, which they are, and you're definitely not hurting that motor by running it off of less than 24 volts. You would be if there was some resistance, if the motor was meant to run off of 24 volts and there was a constant, like a car, if you run it on less voltage than it's supposed to be run, then you're constantly, it's going to work the coils harder, and the coil is going to get hot, and so a lot of parts are going to start to break down because of that. But here we're running a pump, it's consistent. Once the rotor starts up, there's a consistent pressure on it, and the 18 volts is going to be fine. Now this battery here is not the smart battery. I should have put it, I wanted to discharge fast, and this is the smallest battery I have. But I do have batteries that I would put on here that are smart batteries. They automatically shut off once they reach a certain charge, so I will have to keep an eye on this, because if you take this battery down to 10 volts, you will kill it. And I don't want to do that. Normally, what disengages on the Ryobi battery is the tool itself. The tool itself has a shut off, but the battery doesn't shut off. On the higher end batteries, they have the shut off in the battery. The motor stopped running about 5 minutes ago, and it looks like there is still voltage running to the controller, because it's blinking though. So what that means is this controller has a cutoff voltage. It will not operate lower than, let's find out here. It will not operate lower than 18.68 volts. So we got about an hour, and I forgot to turn my timer off, which has been about 10 minutes. 7 minutes, well, we went a little bit over an hour. Battery is still good. What does that tell me? That tells me that I might not be able to run this off Ryobi. However, I did run it off of this 1 amp hour battery for an hour. Let me grab the biggest battery I have, which is 4.5 amp hour battery. See if I can get 4 hours out of it. We'll plug this back in and we'll see if the switch operates. How long does it take for the switch to come back on? That doesn't take long at all. So as soon as the power comes back on, it will switch over to the power supply.
I was wondering why that ball kept getting bigger, and then it hit me.
That was awesome.
So bad. Yeah.